Do you know where you're going to? Do you like the things that life is showing you? Where are you going to? Do you know? What up, guys? Total Control 871, and welcome to Portland, Oregon week here in South Jersey, where apparently all week long it's gonna be nothing but this shit. All week. Yay. All week long. However, the question of the day: do you know where you're going to? And do you like the things that life is showing you? Where are you going to? Coming out of the log jam today, you know, I wanted to do this topic when I heard about the passing, the negligent manslaughter of H.R.Mcmaster's father, H.R.Mcmaster Sr. I'm trying to get this together for you in like a coherent fashion. A couple of years ago, when my lane control saga began, I had a run-in with Hamilton Township Police. Jeremy Hartman was the officer to unlawfully write tickets, but we're putting a pin in that whole thing to focus on today's topic. Sergeant Muller was the responding supervisor for that. He pulls up. I'll link the part of the video that I'm talking about down in the description so that you can understand what I'm talking about. But when Sergeant Muller pulls up, you know, I look in back at me to see who's pulling up, and I say, "Oh, that's Muller." And Officer, excuse me, Officer Hartman goes, "Aha! See, you do know." Basically, what he was trying to say is that I know police. I know the police because I'm constantly dealing with police, because I'm constantly breaking the law. And that wasn't it at all. Once again, it's why my chosen name is Amir. People see what they want to see. They see the mirage. They see what they want to see. And Sergeant Muller and I, many years ago, worked for the same company, CVS. It's what Officer Hartman didn't understand. That's how I knew Sergeant Muller. And that's kind of where I'm the focus of today's episode. Sergeant Muller, if I'm not mistaken, he's about 2 years older than me, and so I'm trying to communicate to you what I'm talking about. It's almost as if we had a very similar starting line in life. Dude, man, go get a fucking muffler. Jesus Christ. These fucking cars, man, I tell you. It's almost as if Sergeant Muller and myself had a very similar starting line. CVS was the very first job that I held when I migrated from Detroit, Michigan to South Jersey here. Okay. Very first job that I had. I'll tell you more about the job later itself in another installment. Anyway, now obviously Sergeant Muller's life and my life have taken dynamically different courses in life. If I'm not mistaken, when I was chit-chatting with Sergeant Muller says that he's been on the Hamilton Township Police Force for about 18 years. 18 years. Now, given his age, I think it's safe to say that Sergeant Muller did not get his police job through nepotism the way a great many police officers will, because we were like having kind of like an economic discussion, and I was like kind of saying to him, you know, you might want to nose your children away from law enforcement so that because of the whole economics, auto drive, ticketing, it's going to be a thing of the past. A lot of police jobs are going to be eliminated through attrition once auto drive sweeps the nation. So many traffic infractions are just simply going to be non-existent. I don't know if Officer Van Gilder still watches the channel or not, but total side note here, what we were talking about, transponders for bicycles and how it's going to be in communication with self-driving vehicles. Ford has indeed announced just such a program. Once again, everything that I have predicted, it comes true. You know, anyway, but yeah, so because Officer Van Gilder and myself, we were talking about cyclists, the future of cyclists and motorists sharing the roads and things like that. I had predicted there would be transponders, probably not even a physical unit, but things like Garmin's, Wahoo elements, and stuff like that. The head units that we're already using, the technology is going to be built into them, because head units, they don't use magnets on spokes anymore. It's all satellite connected. So I was saying that auto drive vehicles, you know, because obviously they're outfitted with their radar and their cameras and lasers and things like that. But much more than that, these vehicles are going to be in constant communication with satellites and other self-drive vehicles, whether it's the same company or a different company. And so the satellite will be telling these vehicles on the road 5 miles up the road, you know, well beyond visual range or radar range. 5 miles up the road, you've got 3 cyclists on the road moving at this speed and stuff like that. Anyway, alright, I gotta get back to my topic here. Anyway, so Sergeant Muller and our lives, I guess I could say it's kind of the same starting line. Like I said, I really don't know too much about the man personally. You know, he's worked his jobs, I've worked my jobs. Given the age that he joined the police force, it's pretty safe to say that he earned that appointment to the police force on his own merit, and that there was no actual nepotism there. So good for Sergeant Muller. But anyway, I'm not even talking about nepotism either. When your lives go in so many drastically different ways, you work, you slave, and it's all for what? Because I think that's what I'm trying to communicate today. I don't know, maybe it's the weather. I got sludge head, man. It's all sludged. It's a log jam, and I can't really get this together. What are the odds of Sergeant Muller, with us being so close in age, what are the odds of Sergeant Muller and myself ending up in the same nursing home? Being cared for by the same... It's like, how do I even want to say this? Being cared for by the same ghetto-ass nurses. Okay? Not even a high-ranking official like H.R.Mcmaster could shield his father from nursing home abuse. I say this because getting a private room in a nursing home, it's fantastically expensive. I seriously doubt Sergeant Muller will ever earn enough money to have something like that. Where I used to stay in the summer, the old man, he I know, because a lot of my new subscribers have like no idea what I'm talking about when I say that. So maybe it's best for me to say it like this. I was speaking with an elderly gentleman who informed me a great deal about how nursing homes work, when he himself many years ago had to sign his father away into a nursing home. And he was telling me the story about how he almost didn't even have his home. Apparently you have to, when you go to put your parents away, all their property, it has to be, you have to claim it 5 years before you go to put them away. You know, you can't sign everything, you can't take possession of it and then next year go to put your parents away. The nursing home will seize the property. The nursing home seizes everything. It's probably one of the most grotesque things you've ever seen in your life. You slave your entire life, regardless of what economic status, because obviously Sergeant Muller and myself occupy very different economic statuses. Sergeant Muller attained middle class status. I never did. The best I could ever muster in life was the proletariat, barely, until finally disability took me out of the workforce, where I don't even qualify as proletariat anymore. I'm just simply homeless. Homeless with a monthly check. The point that I'm trying to make is that what are the odds of Sergeant Muller and myself ending up sharing a room, a communal room, with how many other people? You know, getting a private room is like next to impossible. And the way things are going, the grotesqueness, the ugliness of the greed. Who owns these nursing homes? You know, I'm trying not to get off into like an anti-Jew rant or whatnot. I'm gonna have to do a whole different episode on Jews, my thoughts on Jewish people. I'll put it like this: corporate Jewish people. Obviously, not every last single Jewish person in the world is independently wealthy. It's just not true. Anyway, you slave your entire life, whether you were the proletariat, middle class, or upper middle class, and this is how it all comes to an end. This disgusting socialized end. You know, cardiac surgeons in the room with janitors that cleaned the hospital that they worked in. Kind of like that. It didn't really seem to matter to the nursing home who you used to be in life. They don't really give a shit. All they want is your money and anything of any tangible wealth. That's what happened to H.R.Mcmaster's father. They don't give a shit who you are, who your son is, who anybody is. All they want is their money. And the nursing staff is contracted. It's a deplorable condition. Quality of care. Everybody bitches and moaned about Obamacare emaciating the quality of care. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, because this emaciation of quality of care, it's been going on long before Obama ever came along. You know, a great deal of disgusting greed is what drives it. So I don't know what you're talking about as far as Obamacare diluting quality of care. That shit has so been going on for a while. Quality of care. I'll give you guys a quick story about my father. He did a lot of private duty nursing in addition to working in nursing homes. One such person that he used to care for was a gentleman by the name of Mr. Rubin, a Jewish man who owned a huge string of dealerships. My father wasn't much to speak of in terms of being a father, but he was probably, maybe his only one redeeming quality was that he was an excellent nurse in his earlier years, you know, before the drinking got real bad. He was an excellent nurse, and this showed he took care, he was Mr. Rubin's private nurse until Mr. Rubin finally passed. And his wife, and I want to say this about his wife too, Mrs. Rubin, because I know when I go to do the whole Jewish episode, you guys might think that I'm horrible anti-Semite, blah blah blah, and it just simply isn't true. I fully acknowledge the Jewish people in my life who have been incredibly kind and incredibly generous to me. Mrs. Rubin would always have a gift for both me and my sister whenever my father, she would watch us, you know. My father would drop us off at her home, and while he went to work, either caring for Mr. Rubin or just doing a double shift at the nurse. Matter of fact, we would spend the night, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we'd pack overnight bags. Mrs. Rubin would watch us overnight. My father was quite the charmer. He did have a striking resemblance to Billy D. Williams. I know I wear like the do-rag and whatnot. I kind of favor my father a little bit in the forehead. Anyway, so we'd spend the night, and she would always have gifts for us whenever we come over. Very wonderful woman. And when Mr. Rubin finally passed away, in addition to a very nice salary that my father had, because it was all about dignity. You dig? That's what I'm saying. People want to die with dignity when they grow old, when they want to hold on to their dignity. Okay, I hope to God I'm conveying that in this episode. Whether it's me, the proletariat, whether it's Sergeant Muller, you know, however high up in the chain he goes in the police department, H.R.Mcmaster, whether it was his father or whether he himself, you know, we all want to grow old and die with dignity, and so it's robbed of us so often through greed, disgusting greed. And that's what my father was able to do for Mr. Rubin, was allow him dignity as dementia and Alzheimer's, or whatever the classification was, as it ended his life. You know, he didn't have to die, you know, demented, whacked out of his mind, laying in his own shit, his own vomit, his own you know, my father was there for every step of the way. In addition to a very generous salary, I'll never forget it. Mrs. Rubin, I was just after the funeral. They had a number of different properties and a string of dealerships, and I think she lived over top of one dealership. And she picked up the phone, dialed downstairs to the dealership, and she made it clear to the showroom floor manager that Mr. Dunbar gets whatever he wants. And oh my God, that's a whole different episode. I want to talk about black youth, the pants, the sagging, where it's all going. Anyway, Mrs. Rubin, she picks up the phone and she dials down to the showroom floor, and she says, Mr. Dunbar's coming down. He gets whatever he wants. And my father, that's how he got his Cadillac. He rolled, I mean, that mother was loaded. Everything heated, everything powered, everything. Whatever was available in 1977 that you could pack into a Cadillac, he got, you know. Anyway, but that's what I'm trying to communicate today. It's horrible. The Haitian nurses, the Jamaican nurses, the African nurses, you know, contract people that barely even qualify for the term nurse. Like I said about the so-called psych nurse, dude looked like he just got finished driving a cab at night. He's telling lies that I'm not lucid, and that just simply wasn't true. That's a different subject. All right, I have no idea how successful I was today, or if it just simply came off as a bunch of rambling whatever, you know. But yeah, and I use Sergeant Muller as a demonstrative, because our lives kind of started at one particular starting line, and where is it all going to end? Are we going to end with dignity? Are we going to end the victim of corporate greed? And you know, whatever achievements Sergeant Muller has gained in life, you know, putting children through whether college or whatever it is that their ambitions are in life, after all that is done, you slaved your life, home finally paid for, vehicles finally paid for, all dashed away. All dashed away once it comes time for your final care in life. And that's just simply disgusting. It really is. This isn't what we work for. We don't, it's bad enough we pay so much in taxes, but your property is seized, you spent your entire life, and that's a whole real estate rant. I live in a tent, for Christ's sake. God, the whole real estate rant. I want to talk so much about that. You pay so much money for these houses, and I get it. They have a lot of amenities and a lot of comfort to them. But Jesus H. Christ, it is so effing expensive. I don't know if I'm communicating to you what I really want you to know. Alright, that's it. I'm done. Total Control 871. Reporting from Portland, Oregon week here in South Jersey.